Hey, Criminal Justice Research Methods, this is Sophia. I'm going to go over a demo of Google Scholar, Zotero, searching for academic articles via Rutgers, searching for academic articles via Google Scholar, and sort of citing things within Zotero via the website as well. So as I go more and more into this video, it's going to get more and more complicated and require you to have downloaded certain things. So if you already downloaded Zotero, that's great. The end of the video we'll get a little into that. But the beginning part of the video is just going to be me sort of showing you how you can access academic articles via just the Rutgers library. So anytime you want access to articles that are going to be more academic, and if you haven't linked your Google Scholar to the Rutgers library yet, that's fine. You can just go through the Rutgers library. Let's say we want the book that I referenced in lecture, Street Level Bureaucracy by Lipsky. Rutgers will allow me to get some versions of the book, and you see there's an online version that I can click on and get access to. Now say I want to go to a specific journal. Let's try the Journal of Quantitative Criminology right here. And yeah, so I'm going to have to sign in to see the results from off campus. So the website is proxying, so it's providing remote access to all of Rutgers library resources via proxy. So you need to sign in with your NetID and your password, and that'll allow you to download any of the stuff we have on Rutgers library. Otherwise, you'd have to go through a paywall. So I can view online. And get access to it via any of these three hosts. And see, it's making me log in again. And here I have access to each of these issues. So you see they have like quarterly issues. Other journals have issues like once a month. It depends on the journal, how frequently they publish. And so you can access this specific issue and see all of the papers within this issue. So there are 9 articles. And they might not necessarily, sometimes they're in theme and related to each other, and sometimes based off of the journal, they won't. So the Journal of Quantitative Criminology is more about the methods that you use. It is specifically looking at causal methods. So all of the papers that are going to be in here are going to be more causal, more quasi-method, quasi-experimental types of statistics. You're not going to find any like qualitative research in here. So that's one way to access journals or books, is to go straight through the Rutgers website, and you don't need to set up any links or do any pre-setup before. You just need your Rutgers login and you can access all these things. This is fine, but the only thing is that it's not going to produce great results for you if you don't know the name of the journal that you want to look up, or the specific title of the article, or if you don't know the title of the book. So if you're looking more for specific issues, like you're researching bail reform and you want to look into bail reform risk assessment, if you just type that in here, it's going to give you a bunch of different things, but it's not going to give you articles and empirical articles in academic journals necessarily. So bail reform risk assessment. So it gives you some stuff. Thanks. It gives you some articles, and you can do pretty good by going into here, but it's not going to give you all of the most current things. It's going to give you sort of what's provided. The algorithm is not as great as Google Scholar. So I recommend this if you know what you're looking for. If not, Google Scholar is really great. As you see, I have it on one of my bookmarks because I use it very frequently. And what you can do is I recommend setting up an account with your Google Scholar. So mine's connected to my Gmail. And so let's say let's do the same bail reform risk assessment in Google Scholar. And while over here, we got like a couple of good hits in the beginning. These are definitely relevant. It starts getting less relevant. Offender supervision and new directions in theory, fragmentation and financial, like these have nothing to do with the topic that I just researched, right? But if I look in Google Scholar, there's danger in detention, second generation of bail reform, development of risk assessment. It's giving me a lot more content that's relevant to what I'm looking for. And if you see on the right here, this is an indicator. It says get it at R, which means get it at Rutgers. It's an indicator that I've linked my Google Scholar and my Rutgers, because if I hadn't, then I wouldn't be seeing this on the right. And let's see if we go to Google Scholar here. See, it's prompting me to sign in, but I'm not going to do that. And let's do the same bail reform risk assessment. So some of these I have access to. Some of these I can get a PDF through a library, right? Find Online is a common space where you could get a lot of free access to articles. But this is in federal probation, right? So let's click on this, and it requires me to do a login, right? But that's because it's somewhat linked. Yeah, anything that has a PDF on the side, I'll get access to, but there are going to be some where I cannot. Ooh, okay. So the way that I linked this, the way I got this get R is by going to settings, and then going to library links. And this is all after I've signed up and set up an account with Google Scholar. So if we go, let me get that incognito window back. Okay. So if we go to Google Scholar in here, let me just get a whole new, here we are. If we go to Google Scholar in here, it'll prompt you to sign in. So you could sign in and set up an account through Google, create an account, or use your Google account if you already have one, and it'll link them. So once I've made sure that I'm signed in to my Google Scholar, I can type in Rutgers University here. I've already done that, and search it. And then it'll produce it here, and you just check off that you're able to get access to the library. And that's simple, that's it. And you press save. It might prompt you to sign into your Rutgers portal through your web access, your NetID, and you should do that. So now I have like all this access to all these articles. If you see that the development, the one article that was in the federal probation, I now have access to, no problem. Whereas before I did not. And it allows you to download it as well. So that's how you set up Google Scholar. There's also some cool things you can do when you're searching, right? So let's say that I wanted to talk about bail risk and bail reform and risk assessment, but I want to think about there was a whole reform that happened in the 60s. So I don't want to see anything current, right? I want to see more historically what happened in the 60s. So let's do like 1930 to 1980, okay? So we're within the 60s range. And then I'll get this. So risk assessment wasn't something that was super talked about. And like developed in the 60s, so that's why I didn't get much research on it. But if I just did like bail reform, it would give me a lot more content, right? And then this is going to give me bail reform that was relevant in that time period. But let's say I wanted something more current, so I want to know like bail reform, but in this current context, and I want to know only like the new articles that I haven't seen yet. I can go to since 2020 and see everything that's been published within this year. So you could do a custom range. You can sort by date. That's another way to get the newer ones at the front. And another thing that's sort of nice if you're just wanting the citation of a specific article to paste it somewhere and you're not putting it in a Word document, you could go to that little quote and it'll give you the citation in different forms that you want. So this is APA format, this is MLA, Chicago. And something else that's nice, so let's say I'm looking at bail reform and risk assessment, and I'm like, oh my god, I wanted to know about Cook County Jail and bail reform. Like, that's great. This is exactly what I would like. Then you can always go to download this paper. So this is actually, I think, someone's dissertation. It's a legal studies research paper. So you'll get access to legal studies. A lot of criminal justice discipline intersects with legal studies like we talked about in sociology. So all of these citations that they're talking about, you can look into yourself. If you're reading and let's say, oh, you want to know specifically about this class action lawsuit, just go to 18 and you can find this citation. You could just put this citation into Google Scholar. Let's go back to Google Scholar. And you can find it there. I think this is a case law, so we're going to have to look up case law. But a better way to do that, let's find something that isn't case law. Okay, this is in criminal law and criminology. Here you are, right there. Another way to do this is, let's say that we want to instead, let's go back to street level bureaucracy. We want to know like what's more current on this. Let's do anytime. It's a classic. Okay. So this is a classic book, and we want to know what people have been talking about it recently, how people have been incorporating it in their work. We can click cited by, and this will give us articles that have cited this book. And so we can see how this book is still being talked about and how people are incorporating it in their work. And maybe, let's say, we want to know more current levels of that, but like within policing. So what I can do is search within the citing articles, and let's see policing. Okay, policing and social protest. So we know that this specific article cited this book and was done in 2004. So maybe this is a way for us to figure out how street level bureaucracy is applied more to policing. So maybe you have a prompt from a professor who's saying to like apply this book to a more modern approach. This is one way you can have technology help you figure that out, right? Okay. So besides the sort of search engine aspect of this, there is also alerts that you can start. So I can create an alert for a specific topic. So let's say I want to know anytime someone references that book. I can create an alert for it. And it'll sort of email me when people do. I'm going to cancel that because I don't actually want that. But other things that you can do is save things to your library. I don't really use that as much. Obviously I did at some point because I more use Zotero to put all of my resources there. And then another thing I like about this book is, so I mentioned Forrest Stewart at a certain point. He's a pretty good qualitative, really good qualitative academic. Oh, this isn't in my library. So let me go back to Google Scholar. So let's type in Forrest Stewart. So he has a website of sort of like a citation follow of his own. So I can follow it and follow what he does and say, oh, I want new articles by this author. And now it's followed and the email will send me things. So if there are scholars that you come up with and like what they're saying really resonates with you, and like you read an article and you're like, wow, this person like really gets what I'm talking about, or I really like this person's perspective, you can do that and follow them. And it's pretty nice because you could stay current on their research. Okay, so this is sort of like how to use Google Scholar. I showed you how to link your library to the Rutgers library. Now I'm going to get more into Zotero and how I use Zotero along with Google Scholar to help me manage my citations. So in order for you to get and understand what's going on now, you need to have already watched the Zotero video and have downloaded the extension and the application for your desktop. So Zotero looks like this. It doesn't look super fancy, but it's really practical. So in my library, I can set up folders of different research projects I'm working on. So this is one just for parole decision making that I'm working on a project with, and this is one just for police research. And so I have all of these specific folders for my specific projects, which is really nice because you can export them. You can also, there's a way to do, and it talks about it in the previous video that I posted on Blackboard. That wasn't by me, but by another person. You can set the specific settings you want. Most criminology journals and academics use APA. That's what we use. And you can also like send your citations to people, and it is incorporated with some statistical programs too. So if you like are into quantitative and data analysis, it's really helpful as well because it is compatible with those applications too. So let's go back to fail, reform, risk assessment, right? So the nice thing about Zotero is I can just click this and it'll tell me all of the articles on that single page, and I can pick which ones I want. So let's say I don't want Wales because I'm focused on the US. And then I would just click all of these. And press OK. Where did we go? And it's downloading all of them and putting them in, I want Baylor form. So for some of them, it's getting the full text, as you see here. So when I click it, and you see them downloading here live, you always need your Zotero app open for the extension here to work. And so I can just click on this, and I have access to it immediately. So there's no like sitting and scroll. If I didn't have the Zotero, then I would have to like sit and scroll through this and go to each of the websites and then click download and all those things. And so Zotero makes it really nice because you could just sort of extract everything pretty efficiently. And it saves a web link. So if it doesn't take you to like a specific folder, it'll take you at least to the website. So it's already downloaded this for me, but let's see if that will take me to the specific website and I could download it if I'd like. So I think like that's a pretty good overview of how I use Zotero and Google Scholar to make things easier. Now, Zotero also can be connected to Word as well. So you can Google how to connect it to Word. I'll look in the video if it's there, and I'll post resources on how you can connect it to Word. But so this is my sort of manuscript that I'm writing on Bail, right? And that's my abstract. And the nice thing about Zotero is it comes up and does all of these parenthetical citations for me. So let's say that I don't remember like the specific author who wrote what I'm writing about. Like I don't know who did the particular history on this, but I can look up keywords in this, and Zotero will find me the article. So I just need the title or keywords to access it. And where is it? Sometimes okay. Sorry if that made you dizzy. Okay. So here I am. It brings me to this little Zotero bar. And I can search, let's say, risk assessment. If I want to specifically think about risk assessment. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm talking about something that was this theoretical layers of bias. This is the one I want to reference. So you could just click on it and it'll produce a citation for you. And then you just press enter. And it'll do its thing, and there, it's adjusted it for you. And so you just get to write and then just add a citation when you feel that you need it. And so this is really good when you're managing a lot of articles that you've read and need to make sure that you're citing people and sourcing things. Especially if you want to do more research and go into policy think tanks or whatnot, these are really good tools for you. And then I just want to show you, so this references, I didn't type these entire things out. I didn't do the italics or anything like that. All I did is clicked on add edit bibliography and it produced all these things. So I can show you on like a blank document how it works. So I'm just gonna go to Zotero and add citation. Where'd you go, then? Okay. Sorry. Add edit citation. And so it asks me how I want to be doing this, and I'm picking APA. Okay. And let's do immigration. So let's pick that article and this article and that article. And so I somehow referenced all of these in some statement I said beforehand, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then I just need to do a page break, references, go to Zotero, and edit the bibliography. And sometimes it takes a little bit. See, it's working its magic. So it just did all of those because it knew that I had inserted these. So this is really powerful if you're writing articles, writing research, for you to just have the citation manager so you don't have to manually do these things. And you can always Google more help for specific issues that you come up with, but I haven't really come up with too many issues regarding it. So there you go. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to come to office hours or email me if you have questions. I'm happy to work through setting these things up with you and making sure you have them downloaded, especially if you think this would be helpful for you in the future. But there's no requirement to do these things. They're just resources for you. Okay, thank you.